So much coming up, so many top guests. Joining me for all the chat, my other top guest, of course, Claire Pearsall, former Conservative Government Advisor, always joins us on a Wednesday morning.
Morning, how you
Lovely
doing?
to see you. Beautiful, beautiful winter day.
Yes.
I don't know about you, I feel completely different when I wake up, and I don't know what the weather is like where you are, but where we are, suddenly we've got lovely, lovely blue, sunny skies, lovely frosty morning. Feels completely different from the sort of miserable grey rain of the last few days.
Oh, this morning I had to scrape the ice off the car. Living in the countryside is an absolute joy. But then the sun started to come up and it was just beautiful. It was.
Makes you feel really happy about how well this country's doing, how the country's going, how great this year is going to be. And then it stops because then you see the news. Now, last night I was delighted. I saw this news about this U-turn on compulsory digital ID announced by Keir Starmer. And we should have a little listen, actually, to what he did say back on 26th of September, only last year.
This government will make a new free-of-charge digital ID mandatory for the right to work by the end of this Parliament. Let me spell that out. You will not be able to work in the United Kingdom if you do not have digital ID. It's as simple as that.
He spelt that out, and it's as simple as that. Well, it's as simple as that that is now no longer a requirement. Now, the weird thing is, this was not in their manifesto. It's something Tony Blair has been pushing for years. He's brought a load of Tony Blairs. You know, it's basically, putting the band back together back in Downing Street because all the young people are so incompetent. Hi, if you're watching, but you are. The proof is in the pudding. And they've got all the old people back in town, and they, of course, will go, oh, Tony Blair, he likes digital ID, which he thinks is the answer to everything. You stub your toe, he thinks digital ID would have prevented it. And this was you. The argument about it was that we're going to stop people wanting to come here on the boats because they can work here illegally so much more easily than they can in the rest of Europe because we don't have ID cards. We're going to have digital ID cards. That will stop it. Everyone will have to have one. If you want to get a job, you're going to have this mandatory digital ID. And now he says we're not going to have it. We haven't been told exactly why they're dropping it. I think probably because we've got local elections coming up in a few months' time. Things are looking very dodgy, and this is just another one of those policies that people go, I don't trust the government on. But how are we going to stop the boats if we don't have the mandatory digital ID, Claire?
Well, I think Keir Starmer, if you're listening, needs to come on your show and explain that.
Come on, Keir, love.
It would be good, wouldn't it? I mean, it was never going to
I'll have Danishes, I'll have pastries. He looks like a man who eats a lot of pastries.
Well, I think he's partial to an almond croissant.
Is he?
Yes, apparently so.
There you are then. Oh, you see, I like him for that. I love an almond croissant.
So do I. Actually, it's a very tasty snack.
But let's do the whole show on that. No. What snack should politicians eat? No, OK, go on. Sorry.
Well, I think that would not be U-turned on, I think, once you've decided that. But I think...
What, an almond croissant?
Yeah, absolutely. He can't U-turn on that one. But I think this policy was hysterical that it started out and people went, yeah, I can understand if you want to stop illegal people getting jobs, then digital ID, this will help. And then they worked out that it would be mandatory, everybody would have to carry one, other things would be added onto it. So it became incredibly unpopular. The government doesn't like it when things become unpopular. And we've seen that.
They don't like themselves.
No, they don't. And every single time enough pressure is exerted, they U-turn.
There's a big petition. The man doesn't believe in anything. He had no public mandate for this. A lot of Labour MPs very unhappy about it. People rebelling on that. It was interesting, actually, how much the left and the right did actually unite against this. I think a lot of people, everyone knows it wasn't going to stop illegal workers because if you've got an employer going, I'm quite happy to have Mr. from Afghanistan, Syria, or wherever he is. I know he's not allowed to work unless I've said, can I see your passport? Can I see your visa and your permission to work from the Home Office? Well, unless you've asked for that, you know perfectly well that person's not able to work in the country, barely speak English, for goodness sake. And so those employers are not going to go, oh, well, I have to ask for mandatory digital ID. If you start prosecuting employers and by the way, imprisoning employers who employ people illegally, make it painful for them, not just like a slap on the wrist and a small fine. I think you'll find you can deal with that pretty much overnight if you want to. But everyone knew, it wasn't going to do the job he said it was going to do. And no one trusts this government, or indeed any government, after what happened during lockdown and after what happened with mandatory vaccine passports and the like. They were trying to push that. And then this is the thing. And again, the backlash to that wasn't just a few cranks and people like me. maybe I'm kind of counted among the cranks, I don't know. It was actually an awful lot of people going, that's not what we're like. We are not a papers, please society. And people talk about, oh, it's completely normal everywhere else. Digital ID is different from an ID card. I've got ID card. I've got my my press ID. I've got my driving license. I've got my passport. I've got bank cards. I've got numerous other bits of ID. I'm pretty sure if I'm able to identify myself, most people do. You can get free ID if you're getting benefits. There's no excuse for people not to have ID. If you're getting your pension, you've got ID. I'm sorry, people have ID. But there's a difference between that and digital ID, which can be updated and can be used at any time and can be used against you. So, I'm afraid we've decided that you've done something wrong and you're no longer able to, for instance, buy a plane ticket, or you're no longer able to buy this or that in the shops. And that is how it's used in China. Yep. Right now, that is where this is being tested, and they use it to control people. Oh, you've criticised the government a bit too much. I'm afraid you're no longer allowed to buy plane or train tickets or to go to university. They literally use it like that. It is incredibly sinister, and in no way will it do anything to make us safer or cut crime or improve our lives. It's a load of abject nonsense. It's not the same as, for instance, having your NHS app on your phone and being able to check whether your prescription's been approved or not without calling the doctor. That's sufficient. I'm quite happy with that. This is very different.
Yeah, exactly. And as you say, everybody has more than enough pieces of identification to be able to produce, should they need to.
And if people don't have it, that's up to them.
Yeah, absolutely. But there are many ways that you can get ID. It doesn't have to be having a passport. You can use your bus pass. There are ID schemes.
You need
for
ID to get
people.
that.
Yeah, you do. I mean, but that's a letter from the DWP and all sorts of things. There are ways of doing it. But also for employers, there was the checking service anyway. That's always been in existence. To check if somebody has the right to work.
It's always been a load of nonsense. It's the 13th U-turn. Second just this year. I'm expecting more to come. But here's the basic problem, is Keir Starmer announces policies, his ministers announce policies out of the blue. They've clearly not thought them through. Yeah. And then they get a load of pushback, and then they U-turn on them. Whether it's, let me just go through the list. I mean, this is extraordinary. The grooming gangs inquiry. 1 minute you're far right on the bandwagon if you wanted a grooming gangs inquiry, and then there is one. Well, it hasn't actually happened yet, has it? I mean, but I was happy with that U-turn. How the government measures debt. I mean, don't really care about that. Trans rights. Well, they kind of U-turned, and then you kind of U-turned back again, didn't they? On that, in terms of 1 minute men were women, and the next minute they weren't. But 2-child benefit cap. They're in favour of cutting child poverty. Not in favour of telling parents who've got a load of kids to go out and get a job. I mean, that's how you cut child poverty, guys. But they actually punished MPs, withdrew the whip, who voted to end the two-child benefit cap, and then they put it in. Now, again, I disapprove of their U-turn on that. They were right the first time. State pension age, that WASPy women compensation, again, they were very supportive of WASPy. I think they were wrong on that. Again, I don't think the government can't afford it. Ladies, you need to keep on top of when your retirement age is. I'm sorry. Winter fuel payment cuts, the winter fuel payment out of the blue, brought it in, July, August in 2024, and then they had to backtrack on that. That's been the single most damaging policy they've announced. The benefit cuts, well, they were the wrong benefit cuts, but they couldn't get those through, so they had to U-turn on that. The national insurance, they weren't going to raise national insurance. They raised national insurance for employers. The income tax thresholds, they said that was wrong to freeze them. Then they froze them. Workers' rights bill, again, they backtrack on some of that. That's not a bad thing. Inheritance tax on farmers, the business rates for pubs, and now digital ID cards. What do you think is going to be next?
It's going to be more Treasury-based things. I think they've had such pushback from pubs and restaurants that I can see that there's going to be a U-turn on that imminently.
Why don't they just not make any policy and then they won't have to U-turn?
Do you know what?
That'd be easier.
In one of their meetings only last week, one of the lines that came out of it was that they should get everything right the first time. And you think, well, yes, that's really basic, and you haven't managed to do that in the coming up to 2 years.
But we're looking at the most basic again. Well, also you had 14 years. I mean, he had 4 years, for goodness' sake, as opposition leader. It's quite astonishing. And also, by the way, another PR fail yet again. It's not even that they're good at PR. There's an announcement at the North of England Rail between Liverpool and Manchester. That's been completely, kiboshed by that. I disagree with. I mean, a lot of the commentary today, and including, JK this morning. Look, of course, it's not going to be built before 2030. Yeah, seriously. I mean, have you ever applied for planning permission to have the most basic renovations done in your house? Have you ever had a kitchen put in? Yeah, do you remember, when you have a kitchen put in, and we've been flooded a few times. We've had a number of them. Thank you to insurance companies. But the builders will say, it'll be 6 weeks or whatever. Lay the floor, whatever. 6 months later, you're still going. When's the oven happening? I'm sorry. I mean, this is not an industrial kitchen. This is a normal kitchen. This is how building work takes a long time. There's no point saying it's going to be up and running in 2030. But by the way, they say they're going to cap the spending at 45 billion. Oh, bless you and good luck with that.
I like that. I like their ambition with that. That's never going to happen. They're going to come across some bats or some newts or some very angry people who don't want it going anywhere near their property. And that's always the problem. Anything to do with planning is an absolute nightmare. I've sat on a planning committee. It was one of the most painful things I think I've done, listening to people not like the windows of the house going in behind them.
There is that.
I mean, it is just absolutely painful. But if you were looking at the number 10 grid and you would see all of the fallout from last night, you would move things around and you wouldn't have that announcement coming today.
But that's how incompetent they are. I'd love to hear your reaction, actually, to this U-turn. First of all, are you pleased about the U-turn? Are you sort of cheering away, yes, this is a victory for common sense because we're not going to have compulsory digital ID for workers? Or are you wary that, it's not going to be compulsory, but eventually it'll be one of those things where, well, you don't have to have it. Your life's just going to be very difficult if you don't have it. We're going to make life very hard for those people, because that's kind of what they were doing, wasn't it, with the vaccines as well during COVID. And the fact that it's the 13th Labour U-turn, do you think there'll be more? I mean, we all know the answer there. What should the next U-turns be? And how can they avoid U-turns? And what do you put it down to? Is it because they're listening? This is a listening government. They've heard people criticise and they want to listen, or are they just abjectly, utterly incompetent and don't do their research in the first place? Get it right the first time. Mad idea. Give us a call. Love to hear your thoughts. 0344 499 1000. Text the word talk in your message to 87222. Get in touch with us on X at talkTV. Calls are charged at the national rate and text cost one standard network rate message. Let's talk about foreign affairs. Donald Trump yesterday very clearly said about, these deaths in a round of the protesters who are being shot dead on the street. Video is coming out. I mean, it slowly drips and drabs with that 6-day now internet blackout and indeed being able to cut the Elon Musk Starlink links as well for people. But they managed to get some videos out. People being just shot indiscriminately by numerous IRGC officers on the streets in many different cities across Iran. Donald Trump yesterday said, carry on going out onto the streets, help is on the way. By all accounts, people are not carrying on going out to the streets. We've seen pictures of the body bags in the morgues. Different reports vary from a couple of thousand to possibly up to 20,000 people having been shot dead. Today is the day when we are looking at the first executions of people who've been arrested. After summary arrest and trial, but not in no way what we would call a trial. But a 26-year-old shopkeeper called Irfan Sultani is due to be hanged today, the first protester to be executed. I mean, Donald Trump says he promises help. He said he would help. He said to people he would be there if they were attacked. They're being attacked en masse. What is stopping the US helping, and what should they do, if anything?
Well, I mean, this is the really difficult question because nobody wants bombs going off. Nobody wants...
You say nobody. I'm quite happy for the Mullahs to be bombed.
Again, yes, but I just worry about the rest of the country. I worry about the rest of the civilians there who are going to get caught up in it. So is it always the best way? We, the UK, should not. We don't have a great history when it comes to helping America in these countries. It never goes well. Look at Iraq and places like that. However, if the president has promised to help, he absolutely should. The people that are sending out those videos are so incredibly brave. They're doing it at great risk to their own personal safety to get videos out so the rest of the world can see what's going on, because we can't. There is a massive blackout.
But there's no point us seeing what's going on if people aren't going to do anything about it.
Absolutely, and we should be helping them. I don't know what that looks like. I have a suspicion that it is going to require some heavy-duty firepower.
I have a feeling there's stuff going on the ground, and people say, I mean, some of the lunatics on the social media, it's all down to, it's not real revolution, it's the Israelis. No, Mossad are definitely in Israel, in Iran. We know that from the information they had for those attacks they made on the mullahs. But, whatever they can do to try and help. I mean, I'm sorry. I have no issue with Donald Trump sending in missiles and taking out a leader. And I'm sorry, these are not legitimate regimes. I do not accept this idea that it was a sovereign nation state. It's not a legitimate regime.
No, it isn't. And they are a brutal regime who care only for themselves and to look at it in their own way. Well, indeed. But they are very radicalised in that respect.
Talking of radicalisation, let's talk about our police, who are utterly captured. Certainly West Midlands Police, Chief Constable Craig Guildford may probably be getting... someone sent a cardboard box to his office, because I'm not sure he lasts the day or certainly the week in his job as Chief Constable, and good riddance to him if he does go. Today we know the Home Secretary is going to make a statement about the Incham Inspector and Constabulary's report into the police handling of that Maccabi Tel Aviv fan ban, and all the fallout since, and the blatant and open lies. The apology the latest, genuinely gets worse every day. The latest is an apology by West Midlands Police to the Select Committee in the House of Commons for the fact that they used AI to look at research whether there had been any problems with Maccabi Tel Aviv fans before. And AI, because this is the thing, I use AI now, so I check, I'm going to get a quick answer to things, but usually it's something that I already know about and I then double check it, because it's not reliable. It's just not reliable on these things. It really isn't. And basically, it said it just made up a match that Maccabi had never actually played. Made up a match. That is how bad this stuff is. It probably saw some dodgy tweet from somebody who was completely anti-Semitic, who made something up, and it just believes it's true because it thinks everything has equal value that it reads, which is the problem with AI. This is how rubbish they are. Genuinely, I want every single senior officer in the West Midlands Police investigated. I think, and I've said this before, I think that everybody who's been convicted of a crime that's involved evidence from West Midlands Police has a clear case for an appeal right now, because you've got a culture from the very top where lying is clearly and cover-ups is the norm. How can we trust any conviction based on police evidence from that entire region now? I'm absolutely serious.
Yeah, I think you're spot on. What this Chief Constable has done is the equivalent of going into the pub and speaking to the pub bore at the bar, and whatever information they spout, you take as the gospel truth. Yep. He has taken... To
take away civil liberties from people going about their daily business.
Absolutely, based on absolutely nothing that is true. And it's not very difficult to look up, through legitimate terms, whether a match took place or not. I mean, these are quite big clubs, West Ham and Maccabi Tel Aviv. They are there to be looked at.
Had that match happened? It did not happen.
Pick up the phone to a press office and say, did you play on this day? It's really quite simple.
Well, police resources are stretched. Well, you're all sitting there on AI. I mean, you may as well be sitting on TikTok getting your research, for goodness sake. It's genuinely terrifying. But we're going to get the statement from the police. They're going to release that report. I just don't believe that he can stay in his job at all. At this point, Shabana Mahmood, she's a wily politician, the Home Secretary. Now, there's also some question marks about her. She knew apparently 8 days before she actually claims to have known that the fans were going to be banned. And again, this isn't it's not even about the football club. I don't care whether a football match takes place, or I'm sorry, unless it's an England game in the World Cup, then I absolutely do. But that it's not about that. It's about the police being under the thumb of local Islamist extremist anti-Semites and doing their bidding and then lying the hell about it. This is an outrage. This is literally the end of policing, fairly in this country. And this is such a serious question. And if the Home Secretary doesn't insist, I don't think she's got the power personally to sack him.
No, she doesn't.
There's a process she can go through?
Yes, it's the Police and Crime Commissioner for the area.
But he's the guy who appointed this guy, along with approval of a local mosque leader.
And he's been incredibly quiet on this. So I'd be, if I was the Home Secretary, I'd be picking up the phone to him saying, what are you doing? I want a decision by the end of the day.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think she's been too quiet on this topic as well. I mean, again, she knows if she doesn't sack this guy, her head's on the block. There's no question at all. And she's an ambitious and bright woman. So I doubt that. But again, that shouldn't be the reason why this guy goes. He should have fallen on his sword long ago. I don't think, frankly, he should have ever been in the job, but there we are. Let's also talk about this latest on the Chinese mega embassy, the one we would be able to see from across the road if it was actually built. Keir Starmer has been branded Peking's poodle over a basically likely agreement. We think it could be as early as this week for them to actually approve this. We've got the White House raising more and more concerns, although we were told last year they were fine with it. Labour MPs revolting against this. I mean, we had plans in the Telegraph yesterday. They actually have been published in the Mail earlier last year.
Yeah, but they weren't
but basically placing those plans next to where the cables are. They're a metre away. They've got a secret room, redacted information to planning. And we don't know what that room's going to be for. Yeah, we do. You know, spying and God knows what. And it's 1 metre, the wall is 1 metre away from these vital communication cables. This is insane. If Keir Starmer agrees to this, I mean, he'll end up U-turning on this. Yeah. He'll agree to it and then end up U-turning on it. But this is a national security issue at this point.
And there were angry MPs in the Commons yesterday because the urgent question went through, and it was actually a statement given by the planning department for the government.
Sake, yeah.
They're treating it as a planning issue.
They've overruled Tower Hamlets, haven't they?
They have, indeed. So all of the MPs raising legitimate security concerns were being brushed off by somebody who is essentially a planning minister.
Yeah.
And doesn't know anything about national security. And so there was a lot of real discomfort in the Commons, and I think that the security minister will end up being dragged into the Commons and questioned, and rightly so. 208 rooms underneath the embassy that they just said, oh yes, we need them. 208 rooms. 208
cells?
Wow.
No, I'm serious. I mean, I'm
wonder,
absolutely serious. Again, it shouldn't go ahead. It's absolutely outrageous. There's also one of the issues because people have a right to protest out, you know, inside an embassy of a body like that and of a country like that. But there isn't room for people to protest there without cutting off major arterial routes. So again, another reason why it shouldn't be there. But they're not big on protests anyway, are they? I'd love to hear your thoughts on all of those big stories. Coming up, we're also going to be talking about pubs and basically the government's war on pubs. I think, again, that's going to be another one of the U-turns. But the fact is, Rachel Reeves knew absolutely, she was saying she was giving help to pubs in the budget. They briefed it beforehand and then they didn't give any help. They did the opposite. They actually, I mean, some people have seen their business rates go up by multiple factors. It's extraordinary what they're doing. We're going to be talking about that with the man who actually organised the campaign to ban Labour MPs who supported this policy from their own local pubs. I love this campaign. This is actually how you get change. You ban MPs from pubs, you are seriously going to get what you want in the end. But first up, we are going to take your calls. Lots of calls coming in already on digital ID. Are you welcoming that U-turn, or are you a bit wary that, the compulsory bit is gone for now, but the digital IDs are still on, quite literally, the cards? Give us a call, 0344 499 1000. This is Talk.